So, Anne, my first guest is Anne Carr, who, that's right, received an award this year during Community Relations Week for your work in the past year, and you're head of Community Dialogue. Would you share this up yourself?
Helped form.
Helped form.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Just to say, yes, the award I received was for long-term commitment, to the field of community relations, and that's really what I want to talk about, because we all know there's no short-term fixes to our situation here. And I was delighted to receive it, I must say. I've been involved in community relations work since I helped establish an integrated primary school in Newcastle, County Down in 1985, and I really have been involved in various ways ever since.
You did a lot of work in Women Together.
Yes. I started off with integrated education, and then in 1990 I became the coordinator of Women Together for Peace, where I was for 11 years. Then during that time, we, and Beatrice was involved very much in the work we did in engaging women in dialogue around the contentious issues that divide us in our society, not the soft talk, not the easy talk and not the polite conversation, but we got women together from both Northern Ireland, the South, and eventually Scotland as well, in conversations around the issues that divide us. So that, in those early days, actually was quite new, because we found that we all know about the elephant that sits in the middle of the room here, and anything to do with politics, anything that divides us, anything to do with religion, for so many years was left outside the door by many, simply because, and I believe it was a coping strategy. We have all been through a very, very difficult time here, and it was easy. There's a lot of fear around, and there's still fear around, but we're moving on. So in Women Together, we started working very much with women. Then during that process, I got involved with a small group of people during the time of the multi-party talks, looking at engaging people in conversations on contentious issues again, because we knew that politicians from a very broad range of parties were sitting down talking to one another, but that there was very little opportunity for the community during that time to have those conversations. And the conversations were around, how can we create a shared future for us all? What are the issues that divide us? What are the issues that we can understand more about? I know what I know on policing. I know what my experience is. I know where I grew up on the Shankill Road in Belfast. I know what I experienced. But I didn't have much understanding of the experience of policing people in other areas. So I need to hear that story. So it was through that process of hearing stories that we were able to put together little documents in community dialogue, giving a broad community perspective on these difficult issues. And it was always about asking people to think through for themselves, what do you want, what do you need, and at the end of the day, what can you live with? Whether it's policing, whether it's parading, whether it's an agreement, whether it's education, whatever the issues are, we need to talk to one another about these issues. Because if we don't, we will never get to the place that we can all start to build something which we can all buy into. Too many people were buying out, and are still buying out of politics, as Alan said, because simply they're fed up with the old arguments, they're fed up with what they see on the TV and you know, what the media portrays as politics here. So it's about engaging people in those conversations that will help develop an understanding, and throughout the whole of our society, a shared meaning around what those issues are. So I got involved in, that was in 1997, the time of multi-party talks, in those conversations on the ground, and then became chair of community dialogue, went to work with them for 7 years, and then took early retirement, and now I'm a sessional facilitator, and I go out just to have conversations like we're having today, and I work on a part-time basis in that. In respect of where communities are, in relation to local council, in relation to politics, we have many communities within community dialogue engaging in these processes. I do though feel that at the moment there is a growing gap between community and politics. Remember, we didn't manage to get the civic forum, which was part of the agreement and still is very much part of the agreement. We never got it working properly. It was actually dissolved by David Trimble when the Assembly fell, what, 2002 maybe? It never worked properly, it was never properly resourced, but it was a way of engaging people. It was always meant to be a process of engaging ordinary people, keeping people involved, so that we could develop an understanding on the ground which could both filter up to local council level and to assembly level, and that process of communication could be an up and down and flowing process, and keep people's hope and keep people involved in the idea that we can create a shared and better future for us all. And that, I think, is something that we're missing in relation to the Civic Forum. But at the same time, we in Community Dialogue are engaging communities in these processes all the time.
Who is the director of Community Dialogue?
Director? There isn't a director, it's just a...
Who's the man to talk?
I'm chairing the organisation, Beatrice, now at the moment. Yeah.
Oh, but who? But they were...
You mean a worker? No. Brian Lennon. We have Brian Lennon, or
Yes,
David.
that's the one I'm thinking of.
He's still involved. He's a member. He's still involved. One of our last endeavours was to create a new training course around shared future. And we actually have that developed and actually piloted that with a range of people from community level, from local government level, from business level, who came together to look at what shared future was all about. And this is what I mean about the lack of an opportunity to understand. Many people, even from local government offices, even from the community relations offices within local government, were working to the shared future agenda, even though it had never been part, but didn't understand what it was all about. Never had an opportunity to sit with others, look at that document, take it apart and understand it. So Community Dialogue took that shared future document, which is now shelved somewhere, but actually is still live until something else comes in, and asked them to have conversations around the main issues that are mentioned in shared future. That was a starting point for many people who are now interested in doing more. So the engagement has to be not only community people talking to community people. It has to be community people talking to community people, yes, across those walls. It also has to be the community people talking to those making the decisions, to those in government, to all sections of society. So we together, so shared future is not something which is a document sitting in a corner. Shared future is a live process. Whether it's called that, whether it's called the new CSI cohesion, what is it? Sharing and integration, which you know that I call high velocity remote control sticking plasters. That's my definition of it. Because it's all about sticking a plaster on that and keeping those and sticking a plaster on that instead of developing a greater understanding of what a really shared future, better future, yes, but shared future is all about in our society. People get up in the morning, my feeling is they get up in the morning, they open their blind and they look out. If their world is getting better, they will buy into the change. If by doing that they don't see anything better, the peace process hasn't delivered anything real and tangible for them, then why would you buy into it? So we need to create a tangible shared future that people see. People feel hope, they feel things are moving on, they see things are changing, but also more importantly, they see themselves as very much part of the society. So that's the work that I'm involved in. And once again, I just want to say that it's not just about people at the community level which we work with, it's people at all levels. And that understanding of what a shared future has to be something which we see as real.